Do the Bears need another running back? We're going to talk some post-draft needs on the team, breaking down Luther Burden today as well. CHGO Bears starts right now. Welcome into the CHGO Bears Podcast on this beautiful Tuesday in Chicago, and hello to Bears fans across the world watching us here on CHGO.
Hi.
Adam Hoge, Mark Carman, Greg Braggs Jr. with you today.
Hey, guys. How are you?
Good.
Look at
Good to
Greg
see
and
you.
his haircut, everybody.
Like it?
I do.
Didn't we ban you from wearing shorts on the show?
Yeah,
Wasn't
but
that a
at least-
bandage?
Yeah, at least his knee doesn't look like it
looks
did
normal.
before. I don't know why his shorts are so short, but that's
They're not short.
Don't they have
Just
the?
riding up.
Can we get a spray tan situation for those legs? Don't we have that? One of those?
I mean, wherever you're going lately.
But-
Wait. No fun. No smiling.
Sorry.
No laughing.
Running backs. Let's go.
Carmen's ready to break down all the free agent running backs available here.
I actually have a lengthy.
That's the rule of the day. No fun and no hats.
Why is there no fun? What did I miss?
Well, no fun.
Okay.
Howie said no fun.
We have a disgruntled listener who doesn't like me.
That guy.
Yeah. We are not going to have fun on this show, and I'm not funny. I'm definitely not funny. I have no fun, and
You're definitely not.
and no one
funny.
finds me funny. I don't find me funny. This isn't funny.
All right. Well, I'm having fun. Welcome into the show. We are going to have fun today. I promise. We're going to talk about some of the free agent running backs available. There's been a lot of smoke the last, 48 hours or so since the draft ended. Do the Bears need a running back? We're going to talk about that. And then we're also going to discuss maybe some other needs that might still be out there because the Bears didn't address safety. They didn't address edge in the draft, things like that. I spent the last 24 hours looking at Luther Burden very closely, so we'll have another ODK today on Luther Burden. And Carman's fascinated by Bill Belichick's interview with CBS, so we're going to allow him to do his own show at 1 o'clock on that topic.
I thought it was like 12:52 that we'll get into Belichick if you're marking this on your podcast. But yes, it was one of the weirdest, most bizarre interviews in the history of interviews, and I do greatly look forward to the opportunity of breaking it down in great detail.
I know Howie's looking forward to it as well.
I'm sure he is.
So I'm going to ask this way. What is your level of concern about the Bears running back room right now? On a scale, let's say 1 to 10, 10 being alarmed, very alarmed, big problem. I mean, there was a world in which they maybe could have had Ashton Genty on Thursday night. Would have looked a lot different. Instead, they don't address it till the 7th round. So, Greg, I'll start with you. How worried are you on a scale from 1 to 10?
I'd probably say a 5. I maybe that's too much of a fence riding number, so I don't love fence riding. But yeah, I just think it's a 5. Like, because my biggest concern is DeAndre Swift. How is DeAndre Swift going to be able to fit in a Ben Johnson offense with the way that they kind of jettisoned him from Detroit, bringing in David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, and you saw the way that Detroit Lions offense really took off after that. Is there a fit there? I'm sure Ben Johnson's going to know how to use him with their history there, but at the same time, we know the history means that they found different options. I do like the Kyle Monangai draft, in the 7th, even though it's a 7th round pick. I think that's a solid option that they're going to have, and I think he is going to challenge Roschon Johnson at training camp. And so then Roschon Johnson could just naturally become your goal line back And maybe that's all he ever is here in Chicago, and that's okay. So for me, yeah, you can look at Nick Chubb. You can look at some different options, JK Dobbins and things of that nature. But I don't know if we absolutely need those guys to be successful this season.
Carm?
I'm a little higher. I would put myself at like a 7.62 somewhere in there.
It's very specific.
8 seems too tall. 7 seems too light to me. Look, you have added a ton of weapons. You have bolstered the offensive line. You have a very talented quarterback who is still trying to find his sea legs in the NFL to the level that you need him to be a consistent playoff team, ultimately, hopefully challenge, win Super Bowl, all of that. So the easiest way, in my mind, to make things run smooth this year is to have a dynamic running game. And right now, to say that you're going to give the ball to DeAndre Swift, Kyle Monangai, and Roschon Johnson, that just does not feel enough at all. And then you look at the options that we're going to go through today, Nick Chubb at the top of the list, that's not super exciting either. So I'm almost like, I don't know, sign every undrafted running back that's out there and let's have some serious competition. Because I think you would make things a lot easier on Caleb and the offense if you could keep the ball on the ground. So I'm up the list from a 5. I'm halfway to 10.
Yeah, that last part you just said there is why I'm an 8.
Right.
We spent a lot of time after Ben Johnson was hired talking about the importance of the run game, how that was going to take pressure off of Caleb Williams. And the only real move they've made is drafting a 7th round running back, at least in the backfield. Obviously, they made a lot of good moves on the offensive line. So, if you want to sit there and say from a blocking standpoint, they should be better, I'll agree with you. When I watch DeAndre Swift, I see big play potential every time he touches the ball, but I also see a lack of willingness for taking what's there in front of him when he's trying to run between the tackles. And there's just too many yards left out there, in my opinion. So Kyle Monangai, intriguing player to add to the mix. I don't want to forget about Ian Wheeler because I think he's an intriguing player to watch too over the summer. So there's some guys there.
Good Ian Wheeler mention. I should have mentioned him too. Let's go Ian Wheeler.
But we're a long ways away from adding an Ashton Genty type to this backfield. Now, the only reason I'm not even higher than I am, and I'm sticking at an 8, is because I do think that by adding Luther Burden and Colson Loveland to the mix, there's still going to be plenty out there that defenses need to account for. So they're not going to be in a situation defensively where they're going to be able to load the box on you all the time and just take away your running game. My concern is, do the Bears have the horses to take advantage of that in the run game when they do go to it? I trust the coaching. I feel a lot better about the blocking, but there needs to be some more added to this mix before I'm going to feel really good about saying that the running game will be able to take pressure off of Caleb Williams. That's what I'm specifically worried about more than anything.
Were we this down on DeAndre Swift when we signed him? Because I just don't.
I think we were concerned they overpaid, though.
So, yeah, I mean, we were upset, I guess, that we missed out on Saquon Barkley and we're getting the second guy. But he seemed like a solid option. He was coming off a career year, right, in Philadelphia. And so I don't.
Career year in which they let him go and they signed Saquon Barkley.
Correct. I mean, but Saquon Barkley's an upgrade on any running back in the league.
I understand.
And we all understand who DeAndre Swift is, but he was having a career year. Are we not going to give him any benefit of the doubt for what last year was with Shane Waldron and that offensive line, where everybody else seems to be getting that excuse?
Well,
and when I bring up real quick, Carm, the career year he had in Philadelphia, he had 1,050 yards. He had 960 last year with the Bears, and that was with a terrible offense. He still had the same kind of production that he had last year. He had 6 touchdowns last year. He had 5 with Philly. And I understand the tush push took away probably 11 more touchdowns he probably could have had in Philly. But his receiving numbers went up from last year to his year in Philly, 214 to 386 last year. So I know I'm just looking at stats right now, and we all saw him pass. Ben Johnson said it himself at the owners' meeting. Got to stop trying to hit the home run every time. But at the same time, his production was there. Now you combine it with a good play caller, a better offensive line, and a better vision for this offense. I think we're being way too hard on DeAndre Swift. I'm not saying we can't get an upgrade. I certainly was all for drafting Ashton Genty, but I think we're being way too hard on DeAndre Swift right now.
Well, but hold on. Let's look at it a little in a different way. And just let's say that DeAndre Swift's solid, okay? He still is the only deep threat that you have in that running room. It's not Monunga. It's certainly not going to be Roschon Johnson. I suppose you can say that Ian Wheeler's
What do you mean
that,
deep threat?
Somebody who can bust one, go 80 yards. Though it can actually outrun a defense. He's the only guy that you have in that room. And by the way, he's not elite at it. So, and let's look at Detroit and their success. You had Bulldozer David Montgomery. You had Jahmyr Gibbs, and you had a quarterback in Jared Goff who's a consistent 4,500-yard thrower. Why is that? Well, I think you have to give a lot of credit to that run game that took a ton of pressure off them, plus the weapons that they had. So the Bears have one deep threat who can hit a home run in Swift, and questionable guys who are going to get you tough yards. Can Roschon do it? Well, I don't know still. And can Kyle Monunga come in? The room feels thin. And when you look at the success of the Lions, they didn't do it by slinging it 40 times a game. That was a very balanced attack. And right now, to look at the Bears and think they're going to be balanced, I don't know, man. You drafted Loveland. You drafted Luther Burden. You've got 17,000 receivers on the roster, and you're just thin at running back. I don't think the Bears are going to be a 10-win football team throwing it 40 times a night.
Yeah, and the reality is, you don't need. I'm not looking for a running back that can hit a home run. I need. There's plenty of home runs on this offense right now. They just drafted a couple more to go. I need the running back that's gonna do the dirty work.
Hit a single and a double.
Yeah, I need 5 yards on first down.
That's fine, but when you have a threat that can actually stretch a defense like that, it's terrifying. They got to account for it in different ways.
Yeah, I'm just saying, but they do have that. I need what I'm concerned about is they don't have the other thing.
Well, sure,
that's what I'm worried about.
Right.
I'm worried about,
3rd and 2. Do you have a guy that you can give the ball to and pick it up? Let's go.
Otherwise, you're putting the pressure on Caleb. Because let's look at the real contenders in the league. Because you could say, oh well, the Chiefs just sort of rotate running backs. They're doing just fine. They just have random guys coming in and out. Pacheco's pretty good, but it's not like they have a Saquon Barkley. Yeah, they have Patrick Mahomes. Okay, the Bills.
Right.
The Bills.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're recycling through running backs all the time. Okay, they have Josh Allen. The Bengals. Yeah, they have Joe Burrow. Okay, so
right. Exactly.
If you don't have one of those quarterbacks, you need the Saquon Barkley to be able to beat the Chiefs, which is what the Eagles did last year. We all want Caleb to become one of those guys, but we need to see it before we get there, right, where we can really say that. So look, there was a commenter that said, I think with an offensive line, Swift will be fine. You called him solid, Carr. I agree. Yeah. Fine. Solid. That is what he is. And that's what I think the Bears are right now. That's not good enough.
Right. And you look at how they went on the draft, and you traded out of the 4th round pick. One of the reasons why Nick Chubb is available is because the Browns drafted Dylan Sampson, who they took 126 overall, which was in front of Kyle Monunga, who they are Hippolyte. Thank you very much. But they could have picked Sampson at 109. They chose not to do it. I'm not sure if that was the answer, but the bottom line is they did not prioritize running back in the draft, at least the way it fell. They could have, well, who's next up versus, when they allegedly they were very interested in Travion. That didn't work out. Like, well, who's next up on their list? They didn't go about it that way.
And I wanted to shout out my guy Joey on Bears Twitter. He's in my spaces all the time. He pointed out that the Lions were 11th in rushing yards per game back in 2022 with Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift. So, Ben Johnson, knows how to get the most out of the guys he has. He understands who they are. And so it's just about everyone kind of embracing what they're being coached to. But 11th in rushing with those two guys, would you take that 11th in rushing?
Sure, of course. And maybe Ben is just that good that he can take this running back room and create that. That'd be unbelievable. That's asking a lot, though.
I think when you look at the weapons they have, there's going to be the opportunity to pick up, 4 yards here, 6 yards here, 7. But are you going to take those yards?
Kyle Monangai. I'm excited for him.
I know.
He's got a fun highlight. I mean, everybody's got a fun highlight reel, but he does have a fun highlight reel.
Whatever you do, don't sing a song about Monangai.
Why would I do that? That's your territory. I stay in my lane.
I'm talking to myself, actually. That wasn't for me. That wasn't for you. That was for me.
I didn't
was
just you were pointing at me.
Carm's guy.
I mean, I have some popping in my head right now, but we're going to stay away from that.
Okay, well, instead of doing that, we'll keep this conversation going, some options out there that are available, and also some other spots that we look at as needs on this team after the draft. But first, summer is almost here. You kind of feel it today, yesterday, for sure. Last night was great. And that's why, to get your summer going, you need
the amazing, delicious, always productive Sunnyside. You right over there?
Yeah, except that's not the copy that's in here. So,
whoops.
But yes, you should go check out Sunnyside, as I do this from memory.
I got you.
No, you can check out all their locations. Sunnyside's always got you ready for the summer. 50% off using code HICHGO. They got locations in Wrigleyville, River North, really all over. You can go out to the suburbs. You can go as far south as Champaign, as far north as South Beloit. They got Mindy's, Floracal, awesome brands, the ones you can rely on. And when you go into their store, they're going to help you out. If you have any questions, their team there, they got all the answers for you as well. And you can order online. Ordering online, super easy. You go in, pick it up. It's one of the better ways to go about it. Get 50% off right now when you use code HICHGO. That QR code is on your screen. And Carm, do you have the fine print?
I do. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Bright buys every day, only for 21 and older or Illinois medical card holders. Go get the Mindy Siegel's award-winning chocolates at Sunnyside and do everything that Hoge just told you. 50% off. Promo code HICHGO. We love our friends at Sunnyside. We also love our friends at Empire Today. Your favorite team needs the home field advantage. Just like Grace Carman had yesterday in another thrilling win for the Lane Tech champions. Thank you very much. 10-1-2. All right. Shout out to Empire Today, the flooring experts, dedicated flooring professionals who focus on flooring every single day. You go to the big box store. It ain't fun. You don't want to do that. You want Empire Today to come right to your home, right, so you can see how that floor is going to look when you're sitting there, right, with their same colors and your furniture in your house. Get the precise measurements taken so you have no worry about that. All your questions answered. No surprises. Empire Today, you get the clear, upfront, and all-inclusive pricing. Plus, you can schedule installation as soon as the next day. Yep, they get it moving. Schedule a free in-home estimate today because some things are just better at home. CHGO listeners, you get a $350 discount when you use the promo code CHGO. You heard that right. $350 discount with the code CHGO. Restrictions apply. Visit EmpireToday.com/CHGO for full details.
All right, so some of the running backs that are available right now include Jamal Williams, by the way, who Braggs brought up. He's 30 years old now, though.
Good name. Can't play.
Great scene on Hard Knocks, though. Good leader.
Career lows in almost every statistical category last year. 164 rushing yards. Not super exciting, but
Nick Chubb, you can probably get relatively pretty cheap.
Former teammate to DeAndre Swift at Georgia.
There you go.
That's
the question is he healthy? He's 29. He's had a bunch of injuries. Would seemingly be a good compliment, though, to DeAndre Swift.
But I guess that's the point, though, too, right? Then you're getting him on a 1-year, $2 million deal.
He's coming off his second major knee injury. The Browns drafted 2 running backs.
I'd bring him in. I'd look at him. I'd look at the medicals. If I feel good about it, I'd give him a cheap deal.
Well, and go look at his Instagram. The guy's leaping over tall buildings with a single bound. He looks good. So, sure, I agree.
Well, then there was a radio station in Cleveland suggesting that there was some team in the NFC North that was close to
92.3 The Fan.
Say that again, Steven?
92.3 The Fan.
That's right.
But that's fake Carm. That you don't want to believe that. Ken Carman said it. I don't know who that is. It's
fake Carm?
Fake Carm.
You think he's got a harmonica?
No, he doesn't.
You think
he's got a nemesis, a Howie nemesis? A different?
He might. Ken Carman, 92.3 The Fan, said, I heard he's getting close to another team. It happens to be in the NFC North. Settle down, Carman.
Does
Kenny Carm.
JK Dobbins do anything for you? He's still only 26.
Yeah. Why not?
You want to take a flyer on anyone who's out there. It's fine. Gus Edwards.
All right. Well, what about via trade? There's been some smoke about Breece Hall out there.
That's more interesting to me. But what are you giving up?
That, to me, would be a dynamic option that would actually help you. I just don't know what the cost would be.
Can we trade?
I can't imagine it'd be that much.
You want to trade the 4th round pick that we've gotten 7,000 times and make that turn that into Breece Hall?
I think it's going to cost more.
How much?
What do you think?
I mean, he's all right. He didn't have his best year last year, but the year before that, he was probably a top 3 back.
He's a running back, though.
I wouldn't be surprised if it cost you.
It's not a second.
I think it could be.
Oh. No. Then I wouldn't do that. You know, I don't think there's any team in the NFL that would give you a second for Breece Hall, but maybe they wouldn't trade him for a 3rd. I don't know.
The word is that they're probably not going to trade him, but there's been mixed reports on that so far. Look,
sadly, I don't know if it's sadly. Your best hope is that Kyle Monangai is the steal of the draft, that he is the next, in his own form, Isaiah Pacheco. That's what you're really hoping for at this point. That's what you need at this point, which is not a great position to be in.
Look, I say this every year. You can't address every position in the draft. You certainly cannot address it with high draft capital every time. And I don't think the Bears, it's obvious they didn't go into this draft thinking we are X player away from the Super Bowl. To me, even if you sign a Nick Chubb or a JK Dobbins or whatever, you're most likely not going to lead the league in rushing this year. Like you're just going to have to accept that. Like that's just going to be a reality with the Chicago Bears this year. It doesn't mean they can't score a lot of points anyway. Doesn't mean Caleb Williams can't make a big jump anyway. But this just might have to be something that's not really addressed until next offseason.
Right. And that is why it was so hot to think about, well, maybe what trade capital, what are they willing to give up to move up to get, in theory, who may turn out to be the best running back in the draft in Ashton Jeanty. And we all went on our own Jeanty journey. And
we did.
Sounds like you haven't really quite recovered.
Well, but I wasn't even in at the start. And
you weren't.
So that's why I'm allowed to be late on the out. Like I haven't let it go. I don't know if you are following my elite Instagram.
Yeah, you posted last night about how you need Ashton Jeanty.
Yeah.
At first, you didn't like his cockiness and hubris. Then you interviewed him, and we all know
that's what it was.
Once you interview a guy,
that's true. How Carm said.
That's true.
Carm set his draft board on Wednesday when he went up to Green Bay.
There's a picture of him that he posted on Instagram where he's like lost in Ashton's eyes.
Yeah.
Well, he was also lost in my eyes, didn't you think?
I don't think he was looking at you.
I thought we had a moment. It was. And then I had to figure out what song to put with it because Instagram told me that songs help interaction.
But if we're talking about like positions that need upgrade this offseason before they enter the year, defensive end, edge is the obvious answer since they weren't able to address it in the draft. Passing on Michael Williams to start in the first round, okay. The Bears Ryan Poles did try to trade for Matthew Judon right before the season started last year.
He's still available.
Traded for Montez Sweat a few years ago, so he's been aggressive at that position through trading or attempting to trade. who's available from free agency standpoint, defensive end. There isn't many names.
I can give you some names.
Give me some names.
Von Miller, he's pretty old. Matthew Judon, he's pretty old. Preston Smith, he's 32. Zadarius Smith, he's 32. DeMarcus Walker, have you heard of him?
Still available, huh? Well, that's interesting with Zadarius Smith and Matthew Judon. Obviously, there's a connection there with Matthew Judon, and he's still available after free agency. That's never a good sign for the player, at least, as far as how much he wants to get paid.
Let's just keep our fingers crossed that the bet that they made on Dayo Odangbo is going to pay off. Because if it doesn't,
Gary's reading my mind too, because safety is the other position, and he's talking about Julian Blackmon. You got Jordan Whitehead. You got Justin Simmons from the Falcons. I think that's another spot that they need to be looking at to have some insurance policy. And Dennis Allen actually has implemented a few times where he's putting 3 safeties out there on the field. So, regardless of that, I think that they need to address that spot, just break glass in case of emergency with Jaquan Brisker, respectively.
I agree. I'd like to see another safety added. The reason I don't look at that as a massive concern is because the Bears played without him for a lot last year. Most of the season. And how many times do you remember the game being over and being like, wow, we really, that was a huge, massive problem that he wasn't out there. And that's not a knock on him. It's just my point is they were able to get by without. It's just an easier position to get by, in my opinion.
I mean, they didn't win a whole lot of games without him, but that's true. That's way too easy of a way of looking at it. But my point is the game
wasn't over, and you were like, it's because Brisker wasn't out there?
No, that's of course not.
I mean, Jonathan Owens got picked on in a few games. He did get picked on. So I would say it's a bigger concern because Brisker's not. I don't mean to bash Brisker because it's not, and I don't even describe it as bashing, but I just feel bad when I'm saying it is a huge concern. He is not going to finish a season. I hate saying that about the guy because he's great when he's out there, but if you're Ryan Poles and you're this organization, you cannot be going into a season saying Jaquan Brisker is going to be able to finish us games consistently and finish the season. If he does that, that's great, but you have to have an insurance policy to make sure that when that happens, if that happens, but more likely when that happens, that you have a backup option. And I'm saying that as respectively as I can because I understand he's been through concussion issues and that's not fun for him, and we all feel bad for him, but it's kind of, it is what it is. Kind of.
Look, my fellow Leo, my guy Kevin Byard, who's been a quality ad by Ryan Poles, is going to be 32 years old come August 17th this year. All right, that's old for a safety. Brisker's got his, you have no idea what you're going to get. I can't imagine the Bears are going to pay him unless it's the most team-friendly deal of all time. So when you're looking long-term, you might be having to replace both spots. I don't think you're in love so much with Elijah Hicks that you think that he's going to step in and be a starter.
Well, but I think they have depth. I think Jonathan Owens and Elijah Hicks are good backup staff.
I mean, they're fine.
They don't go in there as huge liabilities when they're on the field. They're fine, exactly.
Owens is back for another year. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, somehow I was sleeping on that. Thought that was a 1-year situation. Okay, J.O., let's go. Shout out to my guy J.O., who was awesome this past weekend.
Well, I mean, if you're going to talk about what's going to have a bigger impact, edge. So some of the guys, I mean, of those guys you named, short of them trading for Trey Hendrickson, I mean, of the guys you named in free agency, is there anyone for you that stands out that you would sign? I mean, we have familiarity with Zadarius Smith, so.
Well, I'll tell you the one guy I was kind of looking at was actually John Kaminsky, but he retired. He played for the Lions. He didn't play for Ben Johnson on that side of the ball, but he was somebody that was available, but he retired. So I don't. I mean, look, if it's a cheap nothing deal, I'll take a Matt Judon.
Sure.
But my it's like running back. I don't know who they're going to add. It's really the difference maker season's over for the most part, unless like these are spots. You know what? He's probably I could see a running back being signed faster, but remember, there's another wave of this stuff that happens in August and at the end of preseason when guys are cut, and there's guys you can bring in at that point. And it might take that like. At safety, that might be where you get a backup safety. That might be where you get another edge rusher.
Sure.
Like what's his name from Seattle they added last year via trade?
Oh, yeah.
Loved him.
I did for 5 seconds. Darrell Taylor.
You won a game. You won us the first game.
And then I did a famous, in my own head, rant about because he got to the quarterback. Like that trade already paid off. And then he didn't do anything the rest of the season. That was about the end of that one. And he was a bizarre guy in that locker room. I remember him on the last day before it's all, when on closeout day and everyone's packing up their boxes and he sees the media in there and he's like, well, no one wants to talk to me. And I'm like, that's right. Of course, Herb Howard went over and, gave him some love.
Real quickly, though, there's I'm going to give you one more reason why I'm not terribly concerned about edge. When you look at this scheme that Dennis Allen runs, these defensive linemen need to be able to play the piano. They need to be able to move around in all these different techniques. They need to be able to be versatile. So you could very well see Shamar Turner play outside at some point. They're going to be able to bring in Austin Booker and rotate him in. Dio Dangbo, you paid him a lot of money. So we shouldn't be talking about in October and November about how they need another edge rusher. And Montez Sweat better have a better year because you paid him elite edge rusher money. So theoretically on paper, that should already be there. And I really like the interior rotation of the defensive tackles right now.
It looks better. It does, but
you can never have enough offensive or defensive linemen.
Right, but when I'm looking, so I guess my point is with edge and safety, I'm okay with the starters. Slightly worried about the depth, but I think they can get by. When I look at the running backs, I'm like, okay, we're talking about edge and safeties. The backups are fine. They're okay. They're solid. Well, we're saying the same thing about the starter at running back. That's what has me worried.
Well, the edge thing, and look, you got to watch a guy week in and week out to really know. But Dio Dangbo went from 8 sacks in 23 to 3 sacks in 24. And I get it. There's a million things going on there, and he had a lot of pressures. But that bet better be right. And that bet needs to be right.
Well, I would set the floor there at 8. Like that he needs to get to. Now he set the bar. I believe he set the bar. He wants to get to double-digit sacks. We got to move on here.
I know we got to move on, but I just will say Montez Sweat does need to be better. But to this point in his career, he's only had double-digit sacks one time in his career, and that was the year that the Bears traded for him. So he played for 2 teams that year. So he's got. I mean, for what he gets paid here, he's got to have a big year if that's what we're going to depend on when it comes to getting that kind of production on the edge.
All right, let's break down Luther Burden coming up next. But first, we're spring cleaning at Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake. Come in and get fresh savings during our spring clearance sales event. 0% financing for 60 months, $0 down, 0 payments for 90 days, plus 0 hidden fees on select new Chevy models. Or you can check out their selection of over 125 vehicles priced under $20,000. With one of Chicagoland's largest Chevy inventories, you're sure to find the perfect vehicle for you. And as one of the top-selling Chevy dealers in the Midwest, they're able to keep their prices competitive, so you'll get a great deal. Plus, they have raised price promise, which means the prices we're telling you about here, the prices you see online when you go into the store, that's what you pay. There are no gimmicks, so go see for yourself. Visit our partner at their convenient location right off of Route 12 in Fox Lake. Don't miss out on the spring clearance sales event going on all month long for 0% financing on select new Chevy models. Shop Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or raychevrolet.com. They've been serving the community since 1963. Together, let's drive.
Shout out to our friends at raterate.com. If you ever tried to buy a home, get a loan, or just deal with money stuff in general, you know that it can be a straight headache. That's why we got to tell you about the Rate app. There it is right in front of you. This one, seriously, this is the game changer. You get pre-approved for a mortgage in minutes. You don't have to jump through a million hoops. They make it as easy as possible for you. If you're thinking about a home equity loan, personal loan, you can get one of those in under 15 days. The Rate app also helps you find the best homeowners and auto insurance based on what you actually need. And the whole thing is powered by AI, so it's super smart, saves you time and money. Something's unexpected here. This is what you want to get involved in. They've added over 800 free wellness videos. You can live on this thing. Stuff like meditation, breathing exercises, stretching. We all need that. Basically, the tools that you need to help you feel better mentally and physically. They're trying to help you out in a million different ways there. So if you're stressed out about a loan or a mortgage, seriously, let the Rate app handle it. Once that's covered, you can go hit one of their free wellness videos to chill out. It's one app that helps you both with your wallet and your well-being. Download the Rate app today to get started. Thank you.
All right, let's talk Luther Burden. Yesterday we broke down Colson Loveland. For some reason, if you missed that, you can check that out, that segment on our YouTube channel here at CHGO. Today we're going to take a look at Luther Burden in our ODK, and we'll just start by setting the table here. Luther Burden is downfield, and as you can see, we got safety coverage over the top, okay? So the reason I just wanted to start with this screen grab, by the way, just a reminder, we can't use video. Got to do screenshots. That's why we're doing screenshots. It's just the rules. Don't hate the player, hate the game.
Yeah, and sit back and just enjoy how Hoge just fills in the gaps of video with just still pictures and the way he circles things and directs you. It's one of the greater moments of my day every time when we do ODK, which stands for offense, defense, and kicking.
So,
shut up.
This is actually from 2 years ago at Georgia. So he's still a sophomore. And the point I'm just starting this with is he was getting a lot of attention. This was a highly regarded recruit. Some believe he's the best player that's ever played at Missouri, just in terms of pure talent.
I mean, I don't know if you know this, Hoge. I used to work in Kansas City, so I had a million people from Missouri reach out to me. They love this guy. Keep going.
Yeah. So we'll go to the next play here. You're going to see why. I showed you that first one, so you could see why they have to be kind of gimmicky with Luther Burden. You're going to see some DJ Moore type of stuff in this ODK. So here he is lined up in the backfield, all right? And they're just going to have him sort of swing out here. And what is this? Well, just trying to distract the defense. By the way, I don't know what's going on here with Georgia. We got a big guy running off the field here. We got another guy who's down here. There's 13 guys on the field. For some reason, the quarterback doesn't snap the ball in time. This should have been an easy penalty, but they didn't. He was very polite, let everybody get off the field before he snapped the ball.
The guy on the line of scrimmage trying to get into the play, he's off sides right now.
Well,
maybe not, but it's close.
I don't know. We got our ball here.
The three-tech, though, is ready to take on everyone. Look at him. That dude's fired up.
This guy's like, I am going to tackle everyone on this play.
No
regardless,
one has their hand down.
Regardless, this is just trying to get attention on Burden to the outside, and Brady Cook is just running this straight up ahead. Okay, so these were the types of things Missouri had to do in their offense because they couldn't. Burden's getting all this attention on every single play. Like, they can't just throw him the ball every single time. So I'm just showing you the ways in which they got to use him as a decoy at times. And if I'm being honest, one of the criticisms I have looking at the tape is he could do a better job of being fully engaged, fully carrying out some of these fakes. They put him on a lot of end arounds, and sometimes he's just sort of jogging at half speed.
We'll get him around Beijing, and he'll figure out how to do that.
Ben Johnson, how are you when the ball is not in your hands?
All right, so let's look at this little switch release here.
Love 17.
Burden, let me back up. We'll circle Burden in green so you can see which one he is. But we're going to finally be able to get him the ball here on this route. He's just sort of going to go across that corner, creating that switch release. And then the wide receiver's off is going to go this way to kind of take the safety with them. So they're going to finally get an opportunity here to throw the ball to Luther Burden in one-on-one coverage, and you're going to like the results. So we go to the next slide, starting with quick out here to the bubble. Now, this is probably an option they can actually throw depending on the coverage, but the quarterback, Brady Cook's going to realize, I got Burden down here. We're going to be able to manipulate this safety with the route coming here, and that's going to leave Luther Burden one-on-one on the outside for a deep ball. And here's the point where he releases it. Okay.
Is that him with his arm up there?
Ball's coming up, and we are mailboxing. We got the hand up, ready to go. Look, there's not a lot of separation. Part of the reason why I wanted to show this play is this is really good coverage by I'm forgetting the guy's name, but he was a big-time Under Armour American recruit at Georgia who's in coverage here on this play. But that's all. When Burden's got one-on-one,
hand up.
That's all he needs. So, and now I want to get into some of the technical stuff here because this is really impressive stuff with Luther Burden that I like. He is very good at sort of throttling down. So ball's in the air. He's tracking it in the air, and he's going to actually, it's hard to show on a screenshot, but he's actually slowing down just slightly here.
I can feel it.
To get him sort of in a position where he can box out the DB. Next frame, now he's going to accelerate back and get that arm out too. Just a subtle little push. Not a push off. Just sort of give me my space while he uses his legs to really create that separation and go get the football that's in the air. That is like next level veteran type stuff that most college receivers don't have. There's one thing to be able to change gears smoothly, which he also does, but to know how to create space while the ball's in the air, while you're also tracking the ball to know that you can go get it once you accelerate. It's really impressive stuff. And remember, this is 2 years ago. This tape's from 2 years ago.
Use your body, baby.
And again, I want to give this DB credit, man. This is a good job of recovering and still playing through the ball with your hands. You want to rake your hands through the ball. It's pretty good coverage.
Is that Kelly Ringo?
No.
No? Okay.
No, he's still there. I looked up his name earlier, now I'm forgetting it. But he's a big-time player. Well, at least he was. I don't know how he's considered now in terms of NFL prospects. But it's still good coverage on this play. You could see the ball coming in. Luther Burden still tracking it, fighting through the DB's arms, getting in there. Here's the look from the end zone camera. Really good job with his hands to still make this play despite the DB's arms getting in there. This is just a really nice play all around. Honestly, good defense, better offense.
Yep.
Quite frankly. He makes the catch, and this is what you're going to get with Luther Burden too. Little celebration.
You know about it.
Yeah, he's letting you know it was a really nice play, and it was. Now, what I just talked about with the throttling down to create space, this is why it's hard. I want to give him credit for it on the last play, but honestly, it cost him a touchdown later in the game because he did this same thing. Remember what I just showed you? It's happening again here. But he kind of misjudged how much time he actually had to do this because he doesn't make this catch. He made this catch harder than it needed to be. But where this ball's headed, this is the type of play that maybe would have been judged as like an overthrow in the moment. I don't know, man. There's all this space here. To me, that's a perfectly placed football, and he kind of throttled down a little bit too much, made this catch a lot harder on himself. It goes incomplete, and they had to settle for a field goal. In this game, they ended up losing by one possession. It's
a good thing he learned from that.
Never noticed at Georgia they have the Georgia G on the goal line.
Oh, I never noticed that either.
That's the attention to detail that Braggs brings to the table that nobody else does.
Thank you.
Look at that. Look at that. The G.
Look at that.
Oh, yeah. Look at that. I don't think I ever noticed that. See, you learn something.
Creative.
I certainly didn't see that myself. That's a great job by Gregory relating to the G.
That's right.
All right, let's go to game. This is also from 2 years ago, by the way. They're playing LSU at home.
It's a pretty tough competition, between Georgia and LSU.
Yeah, you're playing a lot of good DBs in the SEC. Now, just want to give you an opportunity, and I want to give Brady Cook credit. He's the quarterback here, and he really seemed to have a good understanding of what he was seeing in some of these moments when Luther Burden would actually come open. So, if you look at how LSU is lined up here, you got your nickel, you got your safety over the top. So this is looking like, pre-snap, they're doubling Luther Burden. Most talented receiver on the field. That would make sense. But this nickel's going to come on a blitz. All right. So he's going to try to pressure. That's going to leave Luther Burden one-on-one on the safety. Okay. And he's going to show you why you probably don't want to do that. Because one-on-one with the safety, it doesn't look like he's open here. Trust me, he's open. He's already won this route right here. You could see he's in
You could see the safety's feet are not in a good position there.
Right. He's kind of flat-footed, backtracking.
It's like sitting in an invisible chair.
Right. And these feet right here, he is setting you up to basically go do this and goodbye. And sure enough, there's the space he's created. Ball's in the air. It's actually kind of on a laser here. Really well-thrown ball. And it's going to set him up in stride to run. Now, nice play by the safety actually in recovery. He's able to trip him, to sort of go after his ankles from behind after he gets beat. So this was not a touchdown. It was still a pretty damn good gain downfield. And once again, he's going to let you know about it, Luther Burden. First down, that's for sure. So there's your ODK, a lot of the different things, the way that Missouri had to scheme him up, use him as a decoy a lot just because he's getting a lot of coverage. And then in the moments where they could actually create one-on-one opportunities, or if the defense was silly enough to, have that nickel blitz there in that spot, hit them. Now, the reason why I mentioned Brady Cook a couple times in there, quarterback's got to understand what he's seeing. Quarterback's got to understand those moments when he comes open. On the flip side, he's also not going to be the one getting double-teamed all the time. He's joining a very talented offense that's got a lot of weapons, got Rome Odunze, got DJ Moore, got a couple tight ends that can get open. So theoretically, it should be easier to get him the ball than it was at Missouri. But point is, very talented player in Luther Burden.
What if you had to give him a comp to somebody, Hoge? Who are you going with? Off the top of your head, on the spot.
What's kind of interesting?
Carm question.
He's kind of DJ Moore.
Don't you think he's a little more physical than? Well, that's not fair to DJ. Actually, I take that back.
No, DJ's pretty physical. It's just.
Yeah.
You know who he reminded me of a little bit, and it's not a step for step comparison, but he's like a bulkier Deshaun Jackson. I know that sounds crazy, but like just the way he makes plays, it just reminds me a little bit of Deshaun.
I'm going to give you one more, and it's not mine. Thor Nystrom from Fantasy Life came up with this, and I really liked it. It was Percy Harvin.
Oh.
Percy?
That's
a lot of stuff in the backfield, a lot of stuff behind the line of scrimmage.
I'm trying to think back to Percy Harvin coming out, though. Luther Burden, to me, is way – like, Percy Harvin didn't have that throttled down separation type of stuff I was just showing you.
Yeah, but I'm talking about college usage, the way they were using him.
Yeah.
It's a lot of how the Vikings used Percy Harvin as well.
Yeah.
Just like a lot of different unique packages, a lot of stuff behind the line of scrimmage, a lot of run after the catch. But we'll see how the Bears use him, because they could just use him as a deep threat like you just showed a lot of.
Yeah, Steve34 Bear says a more twitchy DJ Moore. That might be a good way to think about it. Debo's thrown out there. I don't know. Everybody's looking for Debo comps. I think he's more skilled as a deep ball route runner.
Yeah.
I think part of why they had to use him the way they did at Missouri was because of the attention he was getting all the time. They had to find creative ways to just get the ball in his hands. But he is a big yak guy. I was a little bit surprised the more film I dove into what he could actually do one-on-one deep. He's got to be a little bit more consistent in some of those spots, catching those contested balls. But a lot of talent there to work with for Ben Johnson, no question.
Great job on another Hoge A+ ODK. As far as guys that I'm excited to watch in a Bears uniform next year, Luther Burden's right at the top of that list.
Yep.
I mean, we've been screaming for them to focus up front, but I've also been talking about you need playmakers, and this guy could be. Well, Ben should have a lot of fun with him.
Somewhat related to this, I wanted to. We can get to snidbits a little early here. Last night I was on Twitter, and Dan Casey, who's got a Coach Casey, on Twitter, got a lot of fun stuff, puts out plays all the time. Yep. Had a Devin Hester highlight reel of him playing wide receiver. And look, it's the highlight reel, so it's all the good plays. But
That's all he had. Or good plays.
Greatest player ever.
But here's the thing. It's really impressive. Like, it's in like as time goes by and you get farther and farther away from those days, the reputation, and it's true, was that it didn't work. And he never really became a great wide receiver. That is a true statement. And so he just has this reputation for being a bad wide receiver. And you watch his highlight film, there's some insane plays he makes.
Yep.
Some great catches. Some really good routes.
Yep.
And when he catches the ball, bye-bye. Because the speed is just insane. And so I'm sitting there and I'm watching this, and I tweeted this. I retweeted it, and I go, just sitting here thinking about Devin Hester and Ben Johnson's offense. Because the reality is, both of these things can be true. Devin Hester was not a skilled route runner. Definitely did not understand the depths of the playbook that he needed to be a really good, consistent wide receiver. But he probably was also playing about 10 years too early. Because you can't tell me the Kansas City Chiefs version of Andy Reid wouldn't find a way to have success with Devin Hester. You can't tell me that Ben Johnson wouldn't find a way to use him similar ways I just showed you with Luther Burden. Even if it's not the full depth of the playbook, even if it's not 10 catches a game.
How many times do they have Devin Hester in the backfield? You know? Not much.
Not at all, really.
Not much. They were trying to have him be a traditional wide receiver. And when they first gave him that contract, before they had Alshon and Brandon Marshall, and his punt returning and kick returning took a huge plummet because they were trying to make him a number one. They didn't really have any receivers at the time. Mark Bradley, some other guys. It didn't work. And then by the time they got to the end, I mean, every training camp, I'm sure you remember this, every training camp, Jay Cutler and Devin Hester looked like they were on the same page. And you're like, oh, they're going to have a big year. And then it never translated during the season.
Well, because he's not your traditional X. That's what I mean. Like, he was still miscast. He's not your number one X receiver.
Right.
He's your gimmicky guy. Put him in the slot. Use him like I was just showing you with Luther Burden. Line him up in the backfield. Have him be a decoy to the outside. Then eventually find your opportunity to get him the ball. I really feel like, I'm not saying he would have been a Hall of Fame receiver. Thank God he's in the Hall of Fame anyway, which he should be as a returner.
Correct.
But trust me, it's on my timeline. Go look at these highlights and tell me that the Bears couldn't have gotten more out of
The
that.
Philadelphia touchdown in the end zone.
Oh my God. There's some good catches.
The Dallas one, both of them kind of one-handed-ish. Yeah, I remember every step he took. What? You're left out of this.
No. I sat back on purpose. I wanted to give you all the ammo there, and I would just back up and just say that it's no shock that the Bears didn't know how to max out the talent that was Devin Hester as far as putting him in the offense.
Right.
So you're absolutely right, Greg.
Yep.
He was great.
I think
in every way.
Shut up. Don't do it.
You too, Hoger. He gave it his all.
He's doing that thing where you don't know if he's being serious or not.
Listen, I mean, just because he failed as a wide receiver doesn't mean that he doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame. He absolutely belongs. He was just a failed wide receiver. Now, that was probably the Bears' fault, not his, to both of your points.
I just wish. What I really would like is one of those I need an extra Hoge camera over here because you can't really see it on the screen on this shot, but the look that Hoge gave him as he was talking there is special.
It really was. I'm sure I felt it.
It wasn't really that look though. It's just
no, it's close.
It was closer, but a little more of a smirk this time.
That's just a happy man right there. Look at how happy he is.
Like, somebody hold this camera for me. That's what that look is.
That is.
You just made Pizzatola's list again.
That's okay. File it away, Pizzy.
No guy. No laughing.
That wasn't even really a take, though, Pizzy. It was just like...
It was a troll.
Yeah.
It was a troll. I just took had the opportunity. Can we move along to what's important, which is Tony Dakapul? Do you know who that is?
I don't. Did the Bears draft him?
No, he's not. Tony Dakapul. This is not for our guy Marsh, for the record. This is time for you to turn off the podcast.
I thought you were going to talk about Bill Belichick.
Well, Tony Dakapul was the guy that he interviewed Belichick. He was the CBS host.
Okay.
Dakapul is not getting enough love in this.
Okay. Look, this is going to sound weird because I don't know who that is, but I'm going to tell you that if you're doing a deep dive on this Belichick interview like you're about to do.
Yeah, not that deep. We're going to keep it pretty surface.
You should know who the guy's name is that's doing the interview.
Well, I just thought of it in the middle of this because I was like, who did interview him? And now, of course, he's got a confusing name.
Dakapul?
Dokopil. I thought that Tony, however you pronounce his last name, did a very good job.
Greg,
underlining how awkward the whole thing was.
Greg, what does fleek mean?
It's like, it means it's nice.
Oh, thank you.
There you go.
Thank you, Shy Tex.
Means it's nice.
I think Greg's hair is nice.
Thank you.
Carm, I actually watched Carm do his hair this morning.
I was going to say, like, Carm, you are clearly trying to copy off of Hoge's hair. Like, it's as clear as day.
Not when he walked in today.
Listen,
I ran into him in the alley, and it looked like he just walked out of a blow dryer.
It's the exact same hair, except grayer.
Dude.
It's not the same. His goes straight back. He doesn't have a line in his head.
His hair's
some other things in his head, but
he doesn't have like the fade on the sides.
Listen.
Yeah.
It's more flowing on the sides.
Do you understand
the up swoop at the top?
It is.
You're trying to be like Hoge.
If you dyed your hair and grew it out a little bit, you'd look like Field Yates did over the weekend at the draft.
Let's just give myself all the credit that I've gone through this hair transformation, because I used to look like you. I had short hair and I looked like I was ready to do whatever you're going to do the rest of your day. And now
you could have said it's prom season. You could have said go to prom. You had a bunch there.
Yeah.
And you dropped the ball.
Well, it's sort of military, but it's kind of like football-y, but yet it's also like chic. Okay. It's not terrible, but it's not. It doesn't.
I think we're going a little long on the hair talk here.
I needed a little. Well, you guys started this. I
apologize. That was on me.
I just wanted more flow.
Howie is gonna kill you.
Okay, shut up and talk about Belichick.
So can we please just throw up the picture of Bill Belichick to start this and end this conversation really all at the same time? Because
this was remarkable. If you guys missed this
dude,
look how happy he is.
this dude was on the CBS Sunday Good Morning, important, not on the CHGO Bears Podcast show, and he wore a ripped navy sweatshirt that looks like somebody ate or took a bite out of it. In some moment of passion, which we can get into the whole girlfriend situation here in a second, which was very odd that what's going on in Bill's life. But that was his look, which was absolutely amazing. And my guy...
You know what?
Yeah.
So are you criticizing him for that?
Yes.
Dress up a little for CBS?
Show a drop of professionalism. You don't have to be so Bill Belichick-y.
But he does, because he is.
Okay.
So I'm going to zig to your zag, and I'm going to say, shout out to you, Bill, for being authentic in this interview.
Yeah.
I don't know why you're wearing a Navy sweatshirt.
Well, his dad, of course, went there, coached there, all the things.
I know, but he doesn't. I know that, but he's the head coach at North Carolina.
Oh, that's true.
That is
exactly.
But if you're going to wear a sweatshirt, why don't you put on UNC?
I think military schools... I think that's different. That should be allowed.
Yeah.
So even when you're coaching,
yes, I'm calling it allowed.
Okay.
It's respect.
Okay. All right. Listen, I'm not trying to make this into a North Carolina Navy fight. I'm just talking about putting on a shirt that doesn't look like you slept in it.
And she's wearing a Navy sweatshirt too.
Okay. Well,
let's talk about the girlfriend part about it.
You want to talk about
this is the part that's actually weird.
Okay. You want to talk about Jordan Hudson? The question to Bill was, how did you meet? And Jordan Hudson is sitting there in the background saying, we're not going to talk about that.
Yeah, she was like cutting into the interview,
Right.
To be like it's like she's his publicist now,
right? And I'm just like, I don't know, Bill. I get it. You have completely outkicked your coverage in ways that like 99.9% of all men have never outkicked their coverage. So she's in control. But this is on an interview. You're Bill Belichick. You're supposed to be the GOAT. Bill Belichick's allowed to talk about whatever he wants to talk about.
I agree. By the way, become a CHGO diehard and always join us for all of our diehard amazing content and things.
We don't have to go too. Thank you. Become a diehard. Thank you for those who have done it, and God bless. But my point in all this is that I have no point other than the fact that like there's no way he can ever be an NFL head coach again. You cannot bring him back. This thing is
because of that interview.
Just how far off the tracks he is.
It is going to be fascinating to see if he can win at North Carolina.
He is.
It was weird though when they were like, "How did you guys meet?" And she was like, "We're not answering that question."
And then I
saw that clip.
So they asked him about.
I didn't really understand that.
They asked him
what's
about
wrong with that question.
They asked him about Instagram and how he's got all these pictures where she's the mermaid and he's fishing and it's really creepy and bizarre. And he's like, how have you dealt with the reaction of all that? And he just looks at my guy Tony. Just completely confused. Well, I mean, it's on Instagram, but I've never. He doesn't say it like this, but he's basically saying like, I've never looked at any comment ever,
which I believe.
I believe it too.
Yeah,
but it's like, dude, like at some point, your perception when you are looking to be an NFL head coach again and you don't have a job, it kind of matters. And you might want to pay attention to what's going on around your personal life, which is now become.
This is why a part of me, I wished he would have become the head coach. I had many reasons why I thought he could have been the head coach here in Chicago, but one of the main reasons was how funny it would have been watching the Bears media try to deal with Bill Belichick at the podium. Like, could you imagine like Patrick Finley asking him, "So how did you guys meet?"
Yeah, but that's not that wouldn't be asked there. That's
Right.
kind of where I'm. Like, you're doing this interview for CBS this morning or whatever it's called.
This is the Sunday morning.
It's not a football interview.
What did you think they were going to ask about? We're not breaking down X's and O's here.
Right.
This is the nation is watching moms, dads, non-football people.
Richard Hoge.
Right. But not
watching.
Richard Hoge. No.
Oh, no, he's definitely watching.
He is.
He watches that every Sunday.
But I'm talking about Susie making her eggs, who's now figuring out that 74-year-old dude is dating that 26-year-old in that cutoff sweatshirt and like who looks like he just rolled out of bed, and it is just unbelievably bizarre. And I'm like, this dude was the GOAT. He was the king of Football Mountain, and he has just ended his career, even though he's still the head coach, or ended his NFL career in one of the more bizarre ways that I never would have thought.
Just want to remind everybody here, this Saturday,
good trying to just get us
the Cubs are the CHGO Cubs crew is headed to Milwaukee.
You got to go
to the Potawatomi Casino.
Good job.
And you can still get your tickets to go.
We'll talk.
You can
Belichick.
get a room at the casino. I think. Are you going?
I would like to go.
Pregame party and live show at the Potawatomi Casino and Hotel May 3rd. You can get your tickets at allchgo.com/events. It's going to be a lot of fun, guys. So make sure you head on out.
Are you going, Greg?
I am not going to Milwaukee, unfortunately.
I think I am.
So
sit this one out this time.
Well, they're sitting in the 200 level because they didn't want to deal with escalators anymore. So
you still have to take an escalator at 200 level. Well, you don't have to. You could take an elevator or the ramp.
I mean, that was but the point is that the best value on that it's all solid. But if you pay $50 for the pregame party, for the food, drink, whatnot, you get $100 in casino credit. So you're up 50. Like that's a hell of a deal right there.
There you go.
It's not often that we pay you to go to the casino, but that's what they're doing.
While we were doing this show and talking about Bill Belichick, the Chargers have applied the rare unrestricted free agent tender to running back JK Dobbins.
That just means you could get a compensatory
giving
pick.
them exclusive negotiating rights if he remains unsigned by training camp. If he plays under the tender, he would earn $3.42 million. The move also keeps the Chargers eligible for the compensatory pick, as you said.
Good job.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, I just thought I'd give you an update because we talked about it earlier.
No, I appreciate it.
So I'm sorry.
No, I'm honestly confused about that tag.
You said unrestricted?
Well, I got to get my
No, it's just ensuring that they get a compensatory pick if he goes elsewhere. That's
Right,
the
he can
essence
still
of
sign
it.
somewhere else.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not.
Well, they get exclusive negotiating rights if he remains unsigned. So that's the other aspect of it. Okay? Does that make sense?
Sure. Not too worried about JK Dobbins, to be honest with you. Let's get to our super chats. But no, thank you for bringing that up. It was timely in the middle of the show. Yeah.
Excellent job.
Thank you.
Tito.
That was from Gary. Gary sent it to me. So thank you, Gary.
Thank you, Gary.
Gary doesn't know it, but Gary completely derailed an important conversation I was having with Carm.
It's true, Gary.
Earlier today, and it wasn't Gary's fault. It was Carm's fault.
Because he's like a squirrel.
Yeah.
Quarterback!
Listen, Gary texts me everything has to stop. I first have to read Gary's text, and then I get back to my
I am
life.
insulted, though, that in the middle of a conversation with me, a text coming in from Gary means you just stop all communication.
Well, but what Gary is texting me about is the most important stuff that there is.
If you got the text,
So,
you'd understand.
He's asking you about comp picks that come out in March next year.
But it could have been something that wasn't that. So you have to
okay.
it could have been something about Caleb. You have to instantly pay attention. Everything stops.
I'm wearing a hat going forward because I keep scratching my head and touching my hair. I'm wearing a hat. That's it. I know
I think you look better.
I know there's people that are like, "Oh, you wear a hat," but I'm going back.
Quick poll, Steven. Hat or no hat for Greg tomorrow, and he has to follow what the poll says.
Is it more important that he wears a hat or pants?
Actually, he's not going to be here tomorrow. Actually, I forgot. So Thursday.
Greg's going to the doctor. We're going to miss him.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited! Another doctor's appointment.
Tito, $5. Swift had 1,300 all-purpose yards with a crap OC and an even crappier O-line. Any running back will look good behind a solid O-line. Bieniemy will coach him up.
I like the optimism.
We probably should have mentioned Bieniemy earlier.
He is a part of this.
T-Juice, $5. The same O-line excuse we used for Caleb. We owe Swift the same. Pogo Pat, $10. To answer your question from yesterday, I wasn't at either music shows. I was at a celebration of life, but still repped my CHGO shirt under my dress shirt. Look forward to a golf outing and tailgates.
You are the man, Pogo Pat. Condolences. Good idea. You could have just taken the CHGO hat here, but this is probably a better idea.
Got a hat on now, finally.
I mean, with all the success you've had, you need a big hat.
Thank you.
I was going to say that fits you perfectly. Clayton Stocker, $5. Y'all are great, but Carmen's my number one guy. Can't wait for the song about Kyle Monungai.
It's in the works, Clayton. Thank you, my friend. You're the man.
Clayton Stocker, $2. I'm just glad we're not talking bulges this draft. We did make it through a draft season without talking about bulges.
Who was that in regards to last year?
League neighbors.
Oh, yeah. The L-shaped neighbors. That was impressive.
That'll do it.
That was impressive.
All right.
Congrats.
Full day of Chicago sports coverage here at CHGO. We got Blackhawks coming up at 2. It's next on the docket, right? And
the day we have a debut. I don't think it's coming out today, but there's I'm going to be contributing to the White Sox podcast. Myself, the King, who you're gonna love, and Sean are
Elvis?
He's sort of Elvis-like. You're gonna fall in love with the show. I'm not leaving you. Don't worry about it. He's the King. He does not. He goes by the King.
Okay.
That's his name. The King.
All right. Well, that's good news for Pizzatola, who can now find you on 2 podcasts. He says, Braggs, Hoge, and Steven killing it today. Carm, you're fading fast.
You know what, Pizzatola? Now that we're on first face basis, I could see you in front of me right now, and it's haunting me, so you should know that.
Looking in the mirror?
He's a little cuter than I am. Good old Pizzy.
All right. We're out of here. We'll be back tomorrow at noon. Fran Duffy's joining us tomorrow.
Big guests all week long coming up later in the week.
Are you guys going to do rapid fire tomorrow? You want me to send them in?
You don't really need to go through 800 prospects anymore, though. We really need to hear about the Bears ones.
Right.
Rapid fire on the undrafted
they might
free
have
agents.
rapid fire about. I'll send it in. I'll still do my job. I'll do my job tomorrow.
Okay.
You're supposed to be doing research tomorrow.
I'll be doing both.
Fun show tomorrow. We got a big guest coming up Thursday and possibly even bigger guest coming up Friday. So just stay tuned. It's going to be a fun week as we continue to roll here on the CHGO Bears Podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.